Welcome back to Miniature Game Montage, where today we are going to paint a Death Korps of Krieg. This is from the new Kill Team box set. This particular guy is going to be my sergeant. He has a plasma pistol and a sword, and I'm going to show you how to paint him up to a tabletop standard using just basic painting techniques. This is painting for the average Joes, not painting for the average pros. So if you're looking for something much more professional, much more in-depth, this is probably not the tutorial for you. Okay, to start for the base, I put down some PVA and just sprinkled some sand. I then sealed that in with some more PVA before hitting it with a gray primer. This is just Rust-Oleum primer. You could go for a gray or a black. And the first base coat that we are going to move to is the Fang, and we are going to be working on the coat that he is wearing, getting the front, the back. You want to be sure that you get the inside as well along the bottom. And then the arms, the chest, and also pay attention to the collar piece and be sure to get that in this color as well. This is our initial base coats that we're putting down, so you don't have to be too neat. Just throw them on and we can tidy these up later. Now this did take 2 coats to get a nice even coverage and color, so if you're thinning down your paint like you should, just be aware that you'll probably have to let that dry and go over it one more time to get good even coverage. Next, we're going to use Vallejo's German World War II Fieldgrey, and this will be used to paint the pants. You could use any gray color that you would like. I just happen to paint a lot of World War II figures, and this is a paint that I have laying around, and I really like the coverage that it gives. Next, I'm going to use Vallejo Khaki, and we're going to use this just to get the wraps around the bottom of the legs, as well as the gas mask. Again, you can paint bravely here. We're just putting on base coats, and anything can be fixed. Next, we're going to use Vallejo Leather Brown to work on some of these leather details, and we will start with the boots. Very easy to get color on these. And then he has a box along the front that we're going to want to paint in this leather color. You want to pay attention to straps that are around the miniature, as well as the backpack here. Also paint this in leather brown as well. Next, we're moving to Vallejo German Gray. This is one of my favorite colors because it's not a full-on black, but it is very dark. We're going to use this on the gas mask, the tubing here. We're also going to get the gloves as well as the plasma pistol casing, make that black as well. And then there's like a gas mask canister on the back. I'm going to make that this color as well. You will also want to use this opportunity to dot in the eyes with this black color as well. Again, you don't have to be very careful here, as you could easily just go back over it with khaki in case you make a mistake. Next up, we've got Vallejo Gunmetal Gray, and we are going to work on all the metal bits. The shoulder pads are a very dark metallic color, so get that, get the helmet. We're also going to work on the plasma pistol as well as the sword, any weapons. You don't have to worry about buckles and clasps or anything like that at this point. We'll get to those here in a minute. And moving to Vallejo Tan Earth, I use this to get the bedroll at the top of the backpack here. Some of the miniatures have this and some do not. And then we are going to move on to a Vallejo Bronze for the last of the base coats, and we're going to use this to just get the skulls, get the insignia on the front of the helmet. You could do the belt buckle or anything else that you would want in this gold type of color. Okay, now any of these base coats, if you see that the paint is too thin, this is your opportunity to go back and add another coat to it. And I also go back to my brown, my leather brown, to get some of these straps that are now easier to paint. And this is just the point where you want to tidy the model up and get ready to hit it with a wash. And the first thing that we are going to use is the Citadel Agrax Earthshade. And we are going to just put this all over the model, pick a point, and start dragging your brush, getting into all the nooks and crannies of the model. And if you happen to find that it is somewhere where you don't want, it's very easy. Just wick that away and push it to where you would like it to go. So the next wash will be Nuln Oil, and we are going to go over the metallic pieces, so the shoulders, the helmet, the weapons. And when this coat dries, I would recommend going through and hitting it with a second coat of Nuln Oil to darken that down even further. The more coats of Nuln Oil you use, the darker this armor is going to be, and they almost have like a black type of metallic. So 2 coats of Nuln Oil. And then we're going to move to highlighting this miniature back up, and we're going to go back to the Fang, and we're going to go back to working on the coat, focusing on the flat areas and the raised areas, leaving that shade into the recesses to provide some shadow and some depth, but work your way around the model and just paint bravely here and get all those high points and flat areas. Next, we have Citadel's Rust Gray, and this is going to be the primary color of the coat. So going through again, starting at the top and working our way down, you don't want to cover up the Fang completely. You kind of want to see that gradient as light would be hitting the cloth. So just working your way, starting from the top down, getting the high points, leaving some of that Fang color to show, and just work your way around the model, making this kind of the primary color. It may take you 2 passes of this if you're using thin coats, but you can paint bravely here. Just try to stay out of the recesses. Next, we're going to use Vallejo's game color. This is Wolf Gray, and we're going to get the high points here. The crossover to Citadel, I guess, would be Fenrisian Gray, but we are just going to do our edge highlights here, getting the highest points of the cloth, kind of creating where light would really be striking that cloth, and just creating some tonal variation. So keep in mind, if something goes wrong here, it's still very easy to fix. Just go back with your Rust Gray or your Fang and get that covered back up. No worries at all. Next highlight color we're going to use is beige brown, and we're going to do the leather bits. Anything that we painted that leather brown, we're going to go through an outline with this color. Have a steady hand here and a nice brush tip to put some lines on the straps. You could also put some lines on the boots to show some scuff marks, and just work your way around the model. Anything that was leather brown is just going to get a quick highlight of this color. On the backpack, you can even simulate your own light, and you'll see here if you just want to put a few lines down the backpack, that will mimic light hitting the backpack. And back to our Vallejo Fieldgrey, we're going to bring some light back to the pants, again leaving the shade in the recesses, focusing on the knees and working your way down. And then we're going to get the black areas with a highlight in this color as well, such as the 10 on the back. And then we are also going to do the gun, highlight that up just a little bit, as well as the gloves. And then most importantly, put a few lines on the gas mask on the front here to simulate light hitting that as well. Our next highlight color is Vallejo Iraqi Sand, and we're going to use this on the pieces that we painted khaki in the base coat step, so around the ankles, as well as the gas mask, leaving the shade in the recesses. Now we're going to use Vallejo Green Gray, and we're going to go back and put some highlights on the pants, and you're going to want to focus on the knees and the raised areas of the folds here on the legs. And it's totally okay to get more aggressive on the knees with this color. If they are poking out, that would be where light is hitting the most, and you can just simply stipple on some of this color to simulate that. Next, we're going back to Vallejo Tan Earth, and we're going to work on this bedroll, bringing some more color to that. Once again, leaving the shade in the recesses, and then we'll move on to another highlight color. This is going to be Vallejo Natural Steel, and we're going to get the metal bits. So working on the plasma pistol, working on the sword, and then some of the more important parts of this model will be the shoulder pads as well as the helmet. But anything that was gunmetal, that really dark color, we're going to give this an edge highlight to bring that back up. Also, if you want to use this to simulate some damage or anything on the shoulder pads of the helmet, you can easily do that by just adding a few nicks to the shoulder pads here. So try to have a steady hand here as you work your way around these edges. If you do mess up here, that's okay. We just go back and fix it with some regular gunmetal or turn it into a scratch, and you'll never know the difference. All right, and this is where we will go through and add some color to the buttons. And then for the plasma pistol, I go back to the Vallejo game color Wolf Gray, And this is kind of like using a contrast type of method. I'm just going to color this in. You could use a white or anything else. I'm going to use Vallejo's game color Turquoise, and I'm really going to water this down super thin. So just like a drop of this and then a ton of water. I'm going to go in and just put that on top of the white that I just put down, and that will give it a very simple plasma type of effect. And I totally forgot there's like a gauge on the front inside of this box. So really quickly, you can fill that in with some white. There is a red little dial in there. You can do that, as well as put some dots in the eyes. I forgot about that. But moving to the base, we are just going to use burnt umber. I'm going to cover the base with this, as well as the rim. And once that dries, I'm going to use Vallejo's Iraqi sand. I'm going to go through with a dry brush and just kind of highlight that back up. And this is typically where I would apply any static grass or tufts, but all of those are boxed up as we are in the process of moving. And this is what you are left with as a finished miniature. So this Death Korps of Krieg is done to what I would call a tabletop standard, and he is ready to take the battlefield in Kill Team. We should be seeing him in a battle report in the future. I really appreciate you watching this video, and please feel free to leave a comment down below if you have any questions. If you like this video, please be sure to give a thumbs up, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.